7:07 on WMAL, where Washington comes to talk. You're listening to Mornings on the Mall with Brian and Larry. Coming up later this morning at 8:05, Andrew McCarthy, National Review. Brand new book coming out today makes the political case for President Obama's impeachment. Really good day to have him, considering the topic of the Taliban release out of Gitmo. Then at 8:35, Larry Kudlow of CNBC will be our guest. I am Larry O'Connor, alongside Brian Wilson.
Joining us now on the line is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, a former military man, a man who served in Congress, all-round good guy, and we thought a good guy to have on today to talk about the fallout surrounding this Bo Bergdahl prisoner of war trade. Lieutenant Colonel West, how are you this morning?
I'm doing very well, Brian. How are you? And greetings, Larry.
Hey.
Listen, let me start out by asking you a couple of questions. At first, put on your military cap for a moment. If you're on the front lines, let's say you're in Afghanistan, and you've got a guy who walks away, and I guess you call him a deserter, goes AWOL, and is captured by the enemy. What obligation do you have to try to get that guy back?
Well, first of all, let me get your lexicon squared away. In garrison, someone that, we would call that AWOL. And after 30 days, you are declared a deserter in times of peace. Now, when you leave your weapon at your assigned duty post and you abandon that duty post, you're immediately a deserter in a combat zone or in a war. But, of course, you as a commander, you have an engagement to look after your troops and to try to make sure that everyone is safe and secure. So as you saw, and as we are learning in the case of Bo Bergdahl, that they did try to retrieve this soldier, and they sent out a search and recovery mission. And during that search and recovery mission, you had, I believe, 6 U.S. soldiers that lost their lives. And what we're coming to find out is that the parents of those soldiers who lost their lives were not told the truth about why their sons lost their lives.
Well, let me go back just a moment. I appreciate you straightening me out on the lexicon, because I did not serve in the military, and it is an important distinction. But the military has never officially listed this guy as a deserter.
No, they have not. And as a matter of fact, I think that is, let me call it what it is, that dirty little secret that no one wanted to be known, but yet those of us in the military who have known about this case for quite some time and known about the details, we understood that. And even though there were members of that unit that were forced to sign non-disclosure agreement, the truth was out there. And I think it's a shame that the Obama administration did not know the full extent of the story behind Bo Bergdahl. And I'll give you the case in point. When you bring out Susan Rice once again on a Sunday morning talk show, you think about the bad optics, first of all, after Benghazi.
Yeah, right.
But when she makes the statement that Bo Bergdahl served with honor and distinction, that lets you know once again that these folks are totally naive and did not know the background on Sergeant Bo Bergdahl.
I want to, Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, I want to pull on that one thread. You just mentioned these non-disclosure agreements, and I was shocked when I heard about this. I understand some of our special forces, some are CIA operatives who are involved in some pretty delicate missions and some possibly some missions that we want to keep secret, and I understand that. They have to sign non-disclosures. But these are just the guys on the line. These are just members of a platoon. A couple of them...
infantry platoon, a regular U.S. Army infantry platoon from, the 25th Division.
Have you ever heard of this? Why would they have to sign non-disclosures specifically about Bo Bergdahl and the circumstances surrounding his capture?
Well, exactly what we just talked about with Brian. I don't think the truth wanted to be out there. Look, guys, understand this. When the bad guys, the radical Islamists, do capture our soldiers, they don't hold them. Back in 2003, when I was a commander of a battalion in Iraq, we had 2 artillery soldiers from Fort Sill, Oklahoma, and a sister battalion that were captured from a checkpoint. And we went into a search and recovery mission, and unfortunately, within 48 hours, we found their naked bodies. They had been shot in the back of the head.
So why didn't that happen to Bo Bergdahl?
In 2006, the 101st Airborne Division had 2 soldiers that were ritually gutted and beheaded. We had 5 soldiers. Ali Musa Daduk kidnapped them, and they were ritually beheaded and gutted. So there is something about why did they keep Bo Bergdahl for 5 years? That's not their modus operandi.
Well, you're asking the question, but I got to say, I read your blog, of course, over at alanbwest.com, and something happened over the weekend when this announcement occurred at the White House that really raised your eyebrows. This is what happened.
I'd like to say to Bo right now, who's having trouble speaking English, Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, Zeabayem.
Why did you have problems with that?
Well, first of all, why are you making an Arabic greeting to your son? You know, as an American dad, and as I wrote, speaking with former CIA operations officer Claire Lopez, this greeting is something where you sanctify the ground that you're standing on for Islam, and so you look at that, you look at the tweet that his father sent out, I believe on the 28th of May, that was since taken down. That's going to continue to work to free more Gitmo prisoners. There's something more to all of this that is going on, just the same as with Benghazi, where the 30 survivors also had to sign non-disclosure agreements.
Okay, let me ask you now to put aside your military cap, which I know it's really hard to do, but now put on your former congressman cap. Did the president violate the law in your mind by doing this prisoner trade without going to Congress and having a conversation and alerting Congress to the fact, as the law requires, some 30 days in advance?
Yes, he did, because the president signed that into law as part of the National Defense Authorization Act, that he would, within 30 days, provide information to Congress about any prisoner transfer. Now, of course, the president came back and said under his Article 2 authority that he issued a signing statement. We can't have a president that selectively chooses, what laws he's going to follow. And so he decided all on his own that this was unconstitutional when it was something that he signed. So at least he could have told the Congress that I believe now in this case that this is unconstitutional. For him to say that he did not have enough time, there was some urgency there. Well, it seems now that we're finding out that a member of the Qatari government was there at the West Point graduation last week, and it looks like they were discussing that at the West Point graduation. So maybe they could have talked about this with Congress on, Thursday or Friday before they decided to do this. So, again, we have a very lawless president that decides, by cherry-picking which law he wants to support, which law that he believes does not apply to him.
Our guest is Lieutenant Colonel Alan West. His website is alanbwest.com, and his brand new book, by the way, Guardian of the Republic, is available at the website. I got to ask you this then. Andrew McCarthy from National Review is going to be here. His new book makes the political case for the impeachment of President Obama. You've just said that the president broke the law. We have many people saying that by releasing these high-level Taliban terrorists back into the world, that he has put the American people at harm's way. And now we have the fact that he has gone through all of these lengths to free Bo Bergdahl, including we've lost 6 soldiers in rescue attempts. They've died because of this person who, by all descriptions, seems to have deserted his platoon. Do you think Congress, the Republicans in Congress, should begin discussions about impeachment?
I think that it is very clear and evident that at least the House can look at articles of impeachment. Of course, it has to go to the Senate, and the Senate is not going to do anything. But we've got to send a message to President Obama that, you're not a king. And it seems that this is a tyrannical rule. This is not being governed by the executive branch. And when I think about how many soldiers, special operators lost their lives or were wounded, and getting those 5 members of the Taliban in the first place, and what message does that send? So, we should not have the Taliban telling us who we're going to release, and then we just roll over and say, here are your top 5 guys.
Real fast, I just want a yes or no. You think the House should draft articles of impeachment?
I think that this is, without a doubt, aiding and abetting the enemy, and that is, without a doubt, something that violates the trust and the confidence, and it represents high crimes and misdemeanors.
All right. Lieutenant Colonel Alan West, it's always good to have you. Thank